Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. It's Bear here. And I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, aboxwithnolid, a channel I'm creating not just to bring the awareness of the lived reality trauma creates, adoption trauma and removal trauma, but also I want to bring what I've learned not only through my own personal experiences, but over many, many years as a practitioner and advocate in these areas. Now, in this video, it's going to be confronting. I'll forewarn all of you because of the nature that is hidden within it and the myth that is created by these statements that are so often given in brochures around the permanent placement and the marketing of adoption. And it completely ignores the reality of what is behind those statements. As I said in the title, behind the myth of this forever family. Your adopted family is your forever family. Because it brushes over so many layers that need to be understood around attachment trauma, around the survival state created by removal and the process of placement, and all the implications of it, and the subtle reminders that we get all the time. Now, if you were raised in your biological family, there is never a need to prove that you were part of that family. People are not going to challenge you, this is your mother or father, past some very basic jostling in the beginning of some joking games, maybe within a barbecue or at a pub or so forth. But there is never going to be a direct challenge that you were not part of this your biological family, your mother, your father, your siblings, and so forth. But in the world of adoption, by design, the process of adoption is to separate you from all the biological information and documentation associated with who you are, your identity, and your part in a country and a society. And you are issued documents by the governing bodies, by the government, that are supposed to replace all of those biological information documents. The reality is it doesn't. And very often in our society today, adoptees and those from foster care, we don't have the identity records we need and access to the identity support documentation that everybody else has to be able to fulfill the requirements to gain service provision, to gain driver's licenses and passports, immigration and so forth, to gain the medical help we need through family medical histories and so forth, to deal with social welfare, departments within the government, to deal with tax departments and all these other processes. And through this ongoing development of digital ID and the whole process moving online, the faceless interactions you have when you try to do things online is a continued reinforcement of what do you do when you have to prove that you are part of this family that raised you and that you are legally a member of a citizen in a society as being part of that family. Now, I know there are quite a few adoptees here that know that we're not issued birth certificates. The majority of us are issued what they call extracts. And those extracts now, well, they haven't been for a number of years, are now no longer accepted as part of identification. So we have to go through this whole rigmarole of applying for pre-adoption certificates, post-adoption certificates. And there's a whole bunch of bureaucratic process and expense and time to get those documents. And for some of us, like myself, it is almost impossible too, because I don't have a birth certificate. The documents that came with me when I was born in a car park as part of my adoption are not registered. And I was fortunate to get my driver's license and passport through the committed efforts of people that I grew up with. A friend of mine, a child I went to school with, she ended up being the master of a post office, headmistress of the post office in my local town. And she said to the passport office, I will sign anything to say I've known this guy my entire life. And I had a local federal senator support me in getting it through. They bent the rules to be able to issue me a passport because I needed my driver's license to get a passport and a passport to get my driver's license. And if I lose either one of those, I will never get them back. And I know countless adoptees that are in the same boat. And as we move more into digital ID and all this process, there are so many other adoptees that are going to be confronted with something they don't even realize is about to hit them in the face. And then there's the added layers to that of if identities get stolen. All the documentation we are provided, hackers can obtain and duplicate. We don't have access to any of the peripheral information we need to support an identity theft claim. And some of these identity theft claims that I'm hearing and reading about now, some of them involve upwards of millions of dollars when you're looking at forged bank loans and mortgages, or when you're looking at criminal activities and you are labeled and you go to jail because someone stole your identity. That's some serious stuff. This is no longer a game. And again, when you're looking at it from the healing perspective and from the title of this video, why do we have to prove we are part of the family we were adopted into? Why weren't we provided the information and resources we need to be able to fulfill whatever requirements will be eventuating in the future? And why is there no effort within government now as they develop these legislative processes and policies and procedures? There is zero consideration of all those that are coming from this area when you're looking at coming from adoption and foster care. And they cannot claim that they have not been engaged or asked about this, because I and many others have tried letter and emails and meetings and everything and lobbying and all this stuff with government. In Australia here, we've had federal Senate inquiries and forced adoption apologies and so forth, and all this stuff was raised. It is all part of the federal Senate inquiry response documentation and so forth, but none of it gets addressed. And a lot of people go, well, you just accept that, you muddle through as best you can, you do what you can. But the thing of it is the impact goes far beyond being denied getting or having to go through years and expense to try to obtain the documents that everybody else takes for granted. It goes beyond that, because it again adds another layer of every time somebody says, well, this is their family, are they? Are they really? All the sentiments and statements that were made that this is your forever family or your adopted family, they're your mom and dad and so forth, are they really? Because that is what threatens and challenges every time somebody behind the counter goes, well, you need to have this or you don't have that. Oh, no, we don't accept that extract certificate. You need to go and get your actual birth certificate. You need to get your actual real birth name. You need to go and get this. You need to get that. That tells us that we're not part of the family that raised us. That is just another reminder that we're a mistake and that we're separate and that we don't fit in. And the arrogance that is thrown at us and the dismissiveness that is thrown at us by those people behind the counters as, well, it's not my fault you don't have that. And there is no path offered or given as a solution. We have to create it, fight for it, and develop it ourselves. As I said, it slams straight back into reinforcing the trauma of removal, the trauma of not belonging, of the trauma of not being part of the family that raised us, and all the questions we have. It reinforces the separation we have from the society that we're supposedly part of. And all of this impacts our relationships and friendships, because they are the ones around us that have to deal with helping us and our emotions and what it triggers. And if they're not understanding or they're not aware of all the layers to this, all the layers of complexity going back, because many adoptees never say they're adopted until they're confronted with it, it creates a huge mess again and again and again. Like I said in the title of this video, the myth of my forever family, there is a lot more that needs to be done around that understanding for it to be actually true. And anybody that puts that forward to me as a justification for adoption, they regret saying it, because I will pull that statement apart in front of them. And I know a lot of other adoptees that do the same and feel the same. You've only got to look at the adoption forums and the memes and all the posts that come up every single day that are a reminder of this fight that we have all the time, just to prove that we have a right to be in this society, let alone the family that raised us. This understanding is strong and it goes deep, and it triggers deep when we are denied something from decisions that we had no say in and we had no control of. As I've said in countless videos, it's not my fault and it's not any adoptee's fault that they were placed in adoption. It's not any foster care child's fault that they ended up in foster care, that they ended up embedded in a system that doesn't care. We need to have a growing understanding of this. And for those of us affected by it, we don't have to participate in their denial of what they should provide us. When I go, as a suggestion, when I go into any dealings with any government bureaucratic department, I record every interaction. I either record it on my phone or a digital recorder. I'm legally allowed to do that because I'm recording what I say. The benefit is I get their responses. I request everything in writing. I request every question that they have or every challenge that they have in writing. So I have actionable responses. And the more of us need to do the same. Be the cog that doesn't turn until they give us the protocols and procedures that the system should provide for us, because we are a legitimate part of the society we're being raised in. It is not much, and sometimes it is not received very well. But it is better than going away from that counter with no idea of how to move forward and feeling your world cave in again. Because again, we've been denied what was taken from us that is required to prove who we are. I hope this is valued and makes sense. And I really hope that people that are around adoptees and those who have gone through foster care really grasp how emotionally deep this goes. It's not just a piece of paper. It's what that piece of paper reflects and represents, because it is the proof that we are part of the family that raised us, or the long-term placement. It is a proof that we are part of a society that we were separated from the very, very moment we were taken from our biological family. So please grasp and take a moment to understand all the emotional implications and the internal turmoil that comes with that. And that will better help navigate the different narratives associated with resolving this within your friendships and relationships with adoptees and within those that go through foster care, so that you can support and we can work together to create actual solutions. As I said, I really hope this video makes sense and is valued. I thank you guys for your time, and please be mindful, please be respectful, and I'll see you all next time.